Wow. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm your host, Jeff Phillips. Man, have I got a good one here for you today. And I've been waiting to do this one. I promise you, I've been waiting to do this one. Here it is, guys. The new arrows. I got them. Let me show you what's up. Wow. Look at that. Wow. The new Iron Oak arrows by Three Rivers. Boy, are these beautiful or what. Look at that. My goodness. They bad. Guys, it's such a blessing to finally, if you're like me and you were a huge fan of the Easton Axis Traditional, and I was, man, I love those arrows, but you can't get them anymore. For some reason, they discontinued them. I don't know. And since that time, there's been really nothing has hit the market. Nothing has hit the market like them. Well, that is until now. Until now. All right, so I get a phone call from Jonathan Cards, Three Rivers, about these arrows. And of course, as soon as I saw them, I fell in love because I said, these are absolutely beautiful. This is one of the prettiest finishes I've ever seen on an arrow shaft. The wood grain design on these is incredible, okay? Now, you say, well, Jeff, what's different about these arrows? And maybe you never shot an Axis Traditional. Maybe you didn't. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on that. Okay, the Axis Traditional was a hard hitting arrow. Okay, hard hitting, but yet not super heavy. Just thick walled with a 204 inside diameter. That's what these are. These are 204 inside diameter shafts, guys. Check it out, man. They're so bad. 204 inside diameter shafts that have a really thick wall for what they are. In other words, the penetration, you get way closer to center shot, especially with long bows, okay? That's what I'm experiencing with this bow here, is because of the slimmer diameter of these arrows, and I'm shooting 500 spine out of a 41-pound bow. Okay, my bow is cut to center. So what this does is it gives me way better center shot. It really does. It's so much easier to tune an arrow that is a slim diameter out of a long bow than a standard diameter arrow because of paradox. So it gives you a little closer to center shot. Wind. These shafts are not as affected by wind as others would be. They're just not. So you get, number one, you get speed. You get penetration. You say, well, where does speed come from? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, because number one, what we're dealing with here is a 6.7. There it is. 6.7 GPI, 6.7 grains per inch in a 500, okay? So that's a roughly 1 grain per inch lighter than most of the standards that I've been shooting, most of them. So I've got a little bit lighter shaft, but not in the super light world. This is right there in the happy medium. For guys that shoot lighter pounds, let's just say you're shooting somewhere around a 40-pound bow, like I am. A 6.7 grain per inch shaft will give you a build finished with the right components right at 500 grains, which is absolutely perfect. It's perfect for that. If you're shooting heavier pounds, you're just going to have a lot more speed with a whole lot of punch. All right, so if you're looking for a hunting arrow that is really going to hit hard and fly incredibly well, so easy to tune, these arrows check the boxes, guys. They really do. And they're called Iron Oak for a reason, because they're like iron. They're so incredibly tough. Now, there's lots of things that you can do. Lots of things you can do with your build to make it like you want it. Lots of options when it comes to the components, how you want to do your build. All right, number one, I'm running 4-inch fletchings on mine. And the reason I run forwards is because I do run some helical, and The diameter of these arrows, it's a lot easier to do 4-inch with the slimmer diameter arrows than it is to do, say 5-inch. It truly is to me. All right, now, what I'm doing with mine, guys, and I'm gonna show you a couple of things right quick that I think you're gonna like these options, I really do. All right, number one, these things have multiple options. They do. Let me put this right here. All right, let's just say you like a glue-on head. What if you're that guy that loves glue-on broadheads? Well, check it out. 100 grain brass glue-on adapters. If you do want to have use glue-on broadheads, there is a 100 grain adapter that is fitted for these shafts, okay? Then, of course, you have glue-on field tips. That's right. You can get, and these are 200 grain that they sent just to play with. I got all kind of stuff to play with, man. So if I wanted to do the glue-on system, if I wanted to, I have adapters and I have glue-on field tips, okay? I shoot a 200 grain broadhead, so that's why I got this system here. So this would be 300 grains on the front if that's what I want to do. You may say, well, Jeff, what is that? What's that arrow you just shot? Those that are just touching like that. What's the build that you did? The build that I did, guys, is a 60 grain stainless. 60 grain stainless outsert, and I'll show you one. A 60 grain stainless outsert. Right here, guys. That right there is a 60 grain stainless half out, okay? What it does, it's slightly conical. It kind of flares out to match the diameter of my 5/16 field points and my broadheads. See? Perfect match. It matches my ferrule just perfect. So with these, I'm shooting the 60 grain stainless steel outserts, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys something that I have always run on all of my 204 arrow builds. The bare bow arrows, the Easton Axis traditionals, the Victories, everything that I've ever had that was a slim diameter 204 inside diameter arrow. And I'm gonna show you the baddest one on the planet, and it weighs 80 grains. You have to buy these, and Three Rivers does carry these, okay? That, my friends, is the bad boy. That is a Victory. That's a Victory outsert, okay? You say, well, what's different about that Victory outsert? Well, you can also put fat weights in the back if you wanted it even more than the 80 grains. But the way these things are designed is the shaft, it's probably very hard for you to see, but the shaft actually goes up in there and it completely goes like a barrel outside and around the shaft, so that the end of your shaft is completely, they're called shock for a reason. Victory shock outserts, because it's built to take shock. It is stainless steel, and I promise you, you could take one of these, you could shoot it into a brick wall. I promise you guys, you can shoot it into a brick wall and the end of your shaft will not get destroyed. It is ultra protective and they hit like a tank. They really do. I mean, these are the deal, okay? So that's what I typically do. When I go to build my hunting arrows, I don't need a pack of these just to shoot arrows in the yard. There's really no need. You can if you want to, because they come plenty, you know, like a dozen in a pack. It doesn't matter. But these things are not cheap. They're not terribly expensive, but they're not cheap either. But I will tell you right now, when you put these things on any of these arrows, and that's what I'm going to do with mine, because like I said, you can use the hidden insert technology if you want to. It's perfectly great and it's fine. That's what most people have always done, but I like something that really protects that shaft, the very edge of the tube from impact. So the shock inserts are the deal. So that's what I do, guys. And basically, like when you order these, you've got like a couple of sizes, and I'll tell you what they were built for. Guys, if you remember the Victory carbon trads, super tough arrows. I mean tough arrows, but incredibly heavy, very heavy arrows. but they went like, say, up to a 550 in spine. And you had like 450s, 550s, 650s, whatever. So there were two different options. Well, what you want to do is you want to order basically for these right here. When you order these things, there is a match that you can match to any arrow that you want to, pretty much. But what I got was for the smaller ones, okay? Like your 550 spine arrows. Those are perfect match for these 500s. Now, if you shoot these arrows, these iron oak arrows, if you shoot them in a much heavier spine than a 500, you'd want to go to the bigger size. But for these 500s, that's what these are, and they work flawless. There again, you don't have to. You can get these stainless half outs, basically the same thing. They work awesome, and they weigh 60 grains, whereas these weigh 80. So you say, all right, Jeff, what's your arrow build here? Where are you getting to with this? All right, 200 grain tip. 200 grain tip, 200 grain broadhead, same thing. That's what I'm running. 200 grains with 60 grains, so that's 260 grains on the front. What is my total arrow weight? How much do my arrows actually weigh in? You say, what's your total on them? Where are we at? 497.8 grains. Call it a 500 grain arrow, and that is cut 28.5 inches. I went 28.5 on these because I wanted to make sure, because I shoot Simmons heads a lot of times. Some of the heads that sit back. So I want to make sure that I had plenty. So I cut them 28.5, and that's what I come out with. Right at a 500 grain arrow. So anywhere that you're in the upper fours, if you're say 475 to 525, something like that, in a build like these out of a 40-pound bow, you've got plenty. And I'm gonna tell you that's what's good about these. It's what's good about them, because you don't have to shoot a super heavy arrow. You don't. You can shoot a 475, 480 grain arrow in a build like this out of a 40-pound bow, and the penetration that you're gonna get, the way these arrows are designed, because of the slim diameter, the way that they fly, the penetration factors of these things, is gonna give you the advantage that you don't have to shoot such a heavy arrow, okay? That is a game changer for lighter weight bows. It really is. I mean, people ask me all the time, they're like, Jeff, I only shoot 38 to 42 pounds, whatever, something like that. How much arrow weight do I need to hunt with? Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, a 400 grain arrow in the right spot is gonna easily kill a deer at 15 yards. But you don't always get that soft tissue. Sometimes you're gonna get some rib, you're gonna get a little shoulder, you're gonna get something. So you need a heavier FOC, really, really good penetrating arrow that weighs somewhere close to 500 grains. 500 grains is kind of the magic mark. And all the tests that I did, when we passed 500 grains, we started seeing mass penetration with a 43-pound bow. That's just what happened. So guys, anyway, I'm even gonna shoot the broadhead. Now, before I do, please understand that it took me all of literally 10 minutes to do a bear shaft tune. 10 minutes, I promise you. I took my old battle longbow, put a bear shaft before I fletched, before I did anything. I did put my wraps, I didn't fletch them. I put the 60 grain outserts, screwed a 200 grain tip on there, and I promise you in less than 10 minutes, and was only by a slight knock adjustment, that I had a perfect bear shaft. My right and left was dead on. I mean, my arrow was as straight in that target as it could be, shooting out to 20 yards, okay? So, I know that I got the build correct right off the bat for the spine. But I'll tell you what I had to do. Switching from 5/16 arrows to the slimmer diameter arrows, I had to drop my knock set just a touch. Probably a 1/16 of an inch, maybe. Because of the diameter of the arrow being smaller, I had to go down just a little bit, because I started out with a slightly high, tail high knock reading, bear shaft reading. All I did was drop my knock just a little bit, and it leveled out shooting bullet straight, okay? So if you've been shooting standard diameters and you go to slim, you're gonna have to do a little bit of adjustment. You are, but not much, very little. But there is a little bit involved there. All right, so guys, what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna shoot a broadhead. I'm not gonna destroy these arrows because I know that my broadheads are gonna shoot just like my field tips because of my bear shaft tune. But I'm gonna shoot the broadhead. And I've got the 200 grain Woodsman Elite broadheads on, which are just like the VPA 200 grain 3 blades. I love the heads. I'm gonna shoot one of these bad boys with the broadhead and show you how good they fly. They are absolute killers, man. So I'm so excited, not just for the looks. And I gotta admit, I love a beautiful arrow. I love the wood grain. It's traditional, man. It's eye-popping beautiful. It is. I mean, they are the coolest looking things I've seen. I mean, there's not a prettier arrow on the planet that I've ever seen than these. I love them. But I also like the performance, as in penetration, without excessive arrow weight. Now, if you want to build a heavier one and you got the pounds to support it, man, it's gonna hit like a tank. Golly, it's gonna hit. So anyway, if you're one of those guys that shot Easton Axis Traditionals, you know what I'm talking about. You know. So, you see, those two are touching right there. Just so incredibly consistent and accurate. I'm gonna shoot the broadhead right quick, guys, and show you what's up with that. All right, fellas, here's the moment of truth. Broadhead. I have not shot my broadheads on these new iron oaks yet, so I'm going to do that. Gonna shoot my broadhead. Like I said, I bear shaft tuned these, so I expect them to fly good. I do. But we're gonna test it. We're gonna see if we can kill old Sally with the broadhead. Perfection. Absolute perfection, man. Golly. They hit exactly where the field tips do. Exactly in the exact same little tiny hole. So that tells you, guys, I promise you, you need to bear shaft tune your arrows before you fletch them. You really need to figure out your point weight. Like I said, these are running 260 grains on the front, and they were bullet straight out of my bear shaft, shooting the bow completely vertical with my quiver on. Before I fletched them, I played with one. I cut it 28.5 inches, put the 60 grain outsert in it, and put the wrap on it because I was gonna shoot wraps because I like to make sure that everything is simulated except for the fletchings, okay? So I did that. I was very pleased with my bear shaft tune, and it shows. Now I have like dynamite broadhead flight. These arrows are ready to hunt. We're gonna try something cool, guys. Since I bear shaft tuned these and my broadheads are flying so well on these iron oaks, I'm gonna see what it does at distance. So I've got my big bona fide target out there at about 33, 4 yards, something like that, a little past 30 yards. And I shoot instinctive, but I want to really watch the flight at this distance. And I also want to kind of see how the trajectory does with basically a 500 grain arrow in a slimmer diameter. I want to see what it does at distance. Pow! Peg! Boom! God, that was amazing flight. That arrow flew, I promise you guys, I drew back and I looked at it and shot it like I do any other thing that I always have. No different. That arrow flew like incredibly beautiful. I mean, as pretty as an arrow can fly. Golly, see, that's something I'm noticing. There's something to the slimmer diameter. I honestly believe there is, that they're just a little faster. Trajectory's a little bit better with these things. And there again, they're not affected by wind, which is not windy today. But man, I cannot ask for anything better. I cannot ask for any more than what these arrows are delivering. I promise you guys, it is what it is. Thank you guys for joining me today on Instinctive Addiction Archery. I'm your host, Jeff Phillips. I love you, and I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate you checking out these new arrows, guys. They've knocked it out of the park with these. They really have. This is a milestone. This is the greatest thing that I have seen in the world of arrows yet to date. This is it. And I say that because you cannot get the Eastern traditionals, Axis traditionals anymore. And they're long gone, and just thank the good Lord that these have come along, because I am very, very excited. Very, very excited. These are going to be some super cool arrows. I promise you that. So anyway, guys, till next time, God bless you.